Great aspirations. I knew this day would come. "64 years ago, autumn, 1030. Scar Market, Cosdell. You protect this tag around your neck with your life. You're my precious property, slave. You understand? You better be worth something." "Stay here and don't move. You inspect the goods?" The slave trader casts a glance at the silent slave behind the mercenary's back, then slightly shakes his head. "Where'd you get it?" "Found them on my way here. Dying of thirst and about to become mangler chow. Thought he could fetch a good price." "I came from Cosdell. I can find someone who..." "Doesn't matter to us where you're from, slave. Say you're from Higashinis for all we care, as long as someone buys you out. I'm just checking if you've got a tail. You never know where these mercs get their goods." "I promise you he's clean." "You better not be messing with me. Cash or barter?" "Ain't gonna live long enough for money to mean something. Give me some good weapons." "You're the boss. He's second rate at best. That'll net you 2 blades, freshly cast." "How about you take another look? With your eyes open this time." "You can dress him up as a first rate, but it won't change anything. If you don't like our offer, feel free to get lost. And put that machete of yours away. This is the Scar Market you're in." "Can you throw him more? I was out on the Lasanian border before I got back. I've got first-hand intel about the whole war in the core." "Well, here's something for nothing. Careful what you spew out of that mouth if you want to stay alive here. Mouthing around you have valuable first-hand intel? You want to guess where that'll get you? Leave the goods and scram. You holding the line." "Not happy? Drown your sorrows in the bar. Our boss Scar Eye brews one heck of a drink. Doesn't matter if you can't pay your tab. They'll take your weapons as collateral, merc. One more thing. Where do you run your bounty board? I'm here to strike it rich." "The barfolk will be happy to inform you." Sarkos swearing indeed. The merc stares around this floating hub, hidden away in the great subterranean hollow beneath Cosdell. Amidst the moans of the slaves, the faint yet constant rumble of lava and bursts of originum dust can be heard rising from beneath the market. Eyeing the rugged path behind them, the mercenary recalls the perils he faced to reach here from the surface and shudders. Just how many people are in that goddamn chasm? Enough to break your fall if you jumped. Welcome to the Scar Market, Greenhorn. You'll love it here. What's the deal over there? Why the crowd? Probably another big name just rolled back into town. Aren't you here to strike it rich? Go on then. I'd rather keep my horns out of all that mess. The merc vaguely makes out a pale white figure, flitting through the chaotic gloom off the street. White clothes? You don't see that every day in Cosdell. You're injured. Tell me, son, I don't know. You're... The last time I was here, it was someone else handling transactions. Yes. You're referring to my grandfather. He never stopped bragging about how he'd fought you and lived. I'm surprised you'd remember him. In the good sense, though. That means he wasn't lying all this time. It must have been 60 years ago by now. General Teresis. Already. How sad that nothing here has changed at all. I imagine with Her Highness here, too. There'll be no more violence this time? Even if things get bloody, eventually you'll leave. But we'll always be here, General. We'll always have business. So long as Khosdel's on the rest, never rests. Even now, I remember one thing my grandpa mentioned in his boast. He said to you, "It's the land of Khosdel that needs us." Teresis looks at the slaves, their heads down in their cages. He draws his sword. War and turmoil have necessitated this trade for over a century. This scar market. General, I... Provided you can reach the surface alive. Take a fresh look at Khosdel. Much of what you know will soon change. All Sarkaz will be part of this change. All? Us too? Yes. I'm not inclined to explain our vision to the likes of you. But I will stay here a while longer and wait for her return. Until then, I welcome you mercenaries to challenge me. Just as 60 years ago. I will take you to Khosdel. Willingly or otherwise. His voice isn't loud, but every Sarkaz present hangs on to his every word. The mixed blood Sarkaz stands alone. No retinue. No army. Armed only with an ordinary looking longsword, casually held in the hand that wields it. His steely gaze pierces through the dim of the street, settling calmly in the direction of the only person he cares for. You can dismiss the mercenaries in ambush. Know that they're your most trusted men. This is out of my respect for the King of Sarkaz. Not aside from the General can claim to know your true motives, after all. Your Highness, do you truly believe that this can change the fate of the Sarkaz? That you're not just another ill-fated hero caught in this cycle of hope and failure? Once the dust has all settled, your answer will come naturally. Following that Pyrrhic victory, we built from zero a moving city, the great nomad of Sarkaz soil, for over a century now. We can evade catastrophes and foreign armies. Our development has finally reached the point of basic self-sufficiency. But it's so far from enough. The storm has long been brewing on the horizon, but we were too oblivious, like a burdened beast too slow to react, too old to move. Your Highness must be referring to that war between Lithanian and Gaul. Surely you, too, are aware of the magnitude of that war. Corsica. I even secretly hired our own royal court casters as his consultants. But despite a period of seclusion, Lithanian's Witch King thwarted Gaul's offenses with his opening move. And now, Ursus and Victoria have also declared war on Gaul. These present empires display a might so far removed from the enemy 130 years ago, against which we staked all Khosdel just to barely prevail. That was already a victory in name only. If Khosdel must now be thrust into the same situation, how could it possibly end? It is for this end that you wish to establish the military commission of Khosdel. Yet the old aristocrats of the royal court grow resentful, refusing to relinquish their sumptuous city lives, and viewing this as an attempt to challenge their privileges. A century of peace is enough for certain memories to slip their minds. So what made you deign to come here in person? Do you see the Scar Market as the royal court for the bottom feeders, where the likes of us scrape by and make merry? My only hope is for more Sarkos to join us and resist the voices that refuse to embrace change. Resist? Perhaps your highness meant terrorize and purge. What I want is a reform, not a slaughter. So it's the reward. The Scar Market's not a real royal court. What we have with the mercenaries is partnership, not fealty. Without compensation, no one will work for us. Reward? Are the spoils of war not enough? Are the riches, power, or food that could have gone to the hungry people not enough to sate your appetite? You claim to provide shelter and a livelihood for countless Sarkos warriors with your rhetoric of justice. Yet I could almost hear their bones crunch as you squeeze them dry for profit. Sorry, but in business, we eat people whole and chew on their bones. Scar-Eye, you too are Sarkos. You too are a part of Khasdel. While Teresa cannot see what expression lies behind Scar-Eye's mask, his emotions are as clear as day before her pitch black crown. No commoner in Khasdel would ever defy the royal court. But in his emotions, all Teresa sees is fervor and bloodlust. You won't refuse. Why would I? Do you think I'm scared they'll take revenge on me? The royal court's no mystery to me. Your highness knows that plenty well. And let me say, you promised me, no doubt, the best reward I could ask for. We thrive on chaos, and I can see the level of chaos you will bring upon Khasdel. The fact you've kept the name Scar tells me your ideas haven't changed. Like you said, the nations of Terra have grown tremendously in power over the last century. We could throw more revenants into the soul furnace and stoke its flames. But it'll not close that gap. So why force the people who aren't really of the same race to band together, call themselves the Sarkos, and build a giant target called Khasdel? The war between the four superpowers have proven that other Terran nations can accept our existence as mercenaries. And that's where the Scar Market comes in. And your highness surely knows that we've become a community. A town. Because many of us could never fit into the elitist, bloodline-obsessed royal court. In all these years, I may have helped just as many Sarkos find a new way of life as the 6 heroes. If not even more. And I'm not the least bit ashamed to say it, your highness. King of Sarkos. Teresa doesn't reply. All she offers is a faint smile at the Cyclops. It suddenly occurs to Scar-Eye that this King of Sarkos belongs to no royal court and represents no bloodline. Her sole aim is to persuade the Sarkos who are unwilling to believe that Khasdel can be built, some of whom have even committed crimes for this cause, to believe once more. But is she enough to break free from the cycle of tragic failures? From the ending he foresaw? Come to think of it, there's one thing I don't get, your highness. I might have agreed to help you, but why don't you and General Teresa simply burn this place to the ground before the day's end? I would have had little chance of winning if you decided to do so. Just like you did 60 years ago. A minute ago, you described Khasdel as nothing but a target. That you want another way for the Sarkos to live. One that would have them depend on other nations. Yes. So tell me, in your prophetic visions, have you seen Khasdel's destruction? Have you seen my death? Teresa's death? And the destruction of all that you stand against? And what about yourself? How do you behold your death? A slowing, agonizing death by Eurypyce? Slain in battle on foreign soil? Or drowned in a sea of plots and conspiracies? Have you ever left this place and seen Kazdel as it is now? Have you ever truly seen the future? Is this your way of asking for prophecy? I don't give handouts, but for your highness, I'll consider a discount. Such nerve. No wonder you were able to claw your way out of this bleakness and rebuild this mercenary's paradise. But I'll pass on that prophecy. Prophecies and fate have no value. It's getting late. I look forward to your return to Kazdel. He watches her go and heaves a long sigh, only when even her footsteps fall from earshot. That word's hard. Son of a bitch. Foresight? Prophecies? His own death? He bought his coffin this very morning. Tally up the losses. Boss the slaves. Set them free. They're bound to get tangled up in the Scar Market after the war begins anyway. At most, we lose out on pocket change. Did anyone take on General Teresa's and survive? Yes. I've noted them all down. Take them to supplies for a little reward. They've got real balls. When you're done, take them to the bar entrance and kill them all in front of everyone. Send their heads to General Teresa's as an apology. Got it. Send the rewards to whatever family and friends they have as bereavement. Tell every merc looking to make a living in the Scar Market, I don't want to see anyone trying funny shit on my turf. He heads alone to the bar. The tags on his cloak jangling in his steps. He stands prominently in the crowd, watching as the blades take the light from the mercenary's eyes. Still, no one fights back. This is just a side note, but like, if this end is bladed, that's cutting into his palm, right? Because your fingers go in here, and this part's supposed to, like, be where your palm is? Like, what's the point of this being bladed? Holding it the opposite way doesn't really work, right? Because this is also spiked. Sorry. Just ignore me. Utter disappointment. Drinks are on the house tonight. Both to celebrate the two highnesses sparing your lives, and to celebrate the huge gig you've all just landed. Your objective is in Kazdel. Get your shit ready. Soon you're all gonna be in the city. Secret entrance of the Scar Market. Kazdel. For secret entrance, that's way too obvious. You've been quiet for some time now, Teresa. Are you hesitating? No. I have confidence in you. A reshuffle of the War Council is inevitable. It's just... I've been thinking about the city's future. War won't stop itself at Gaul. Our pace has fallen too far behind. Carissa I commands an indomitable fleet of dreadnoughts and guard battalions. The Mad King of Lysanion has more than his hearts in his arsenal to effect Gaul's failure. The industrial might of both Ursus and Victoria in the throes of a large-scale battle has far surpassed our imaginations. Many seem to know war like the back of their hand simply by living long enough through it. If our concept of war still lingers on the great battle from a century ago, then we have drastically underestimated how quickly wars can nourish empires and fuel dictatorships. This is exactly why we need a military commission. It's more than that, Tiresias. I know. When the day comes, when the Sarkaz wish to live on, if a brittle, creaking city is all that we have to call our own, it will be far from enough. Do you remember the idea I proposed? Back when Kal'tsit was designing the city's blueprints with us? Babel. To transcend the borders of race and nation. To echo far and wide in our ideals. In our epics. Founded by a Sarkaz. We will prepare Khaz'del for the coming crisis. Strive to eradicate the poverty and disease that have plagued them for millennia. And send a message to all of Terra. There will come a future when we all stand as one. The Sarkaz too are a part of Terra's destiny. This is not the first Tiresias hath heard of her idea. Apart from the dame who left after helping build the nomadic city of Khaz'del many years ago, he alone knows the true belief of the current king of Sarkaz. Khaz'del won't accept this Babel. You and I both know that well. It's but a dream of attempting to subvert reality. Yes, for now at least. We can't be talking of such grand ideals, while even our own affairs are slipping away from us. It's my hope this Babel can become a part of Khaz'del. Tiresias. Are you prepared then? As I said before, it's not just the other nations that will oppose you. Khaz'del and the Sarkaz clinging to their hatred will also stand against you. It is cruel to force them to forgive and forget. The persecution of the Sarkaz is not history. The ancient hatred is what drives many to survive until this day. I am the king of the Sarkaz. The responsibility is all mine to bear. I must show them a way out of this. I see. Then go. Do what you will. Teresa, I still do not approve of your vision, but I do support your decision, and the future military commission will too. If your gaze is set too far to see what lies before you, then I shall sweep away all that obstructs you at the moment, just as always. I know. Come, let's go home. Khaz'del still needs us for what's about to happen. Oh yes, Skarai mentioned the prophecy again as I was leaving. The signs of a pessimistic fate. And your reaction? I don't care. Agreed. Khaz'del. A strange yet familiar name. Many from this great land see it as the pit from which devils crawl. A terrible place to be avoided at all costs. While to the Sarkaz, the name only evokes equally conflicted emotions. Despite generations of Sarkaz passing on, that Khaz'del is the Sarkaz homeland. An outsider might wonder if they mean the city or the entirety of those lands. Perhaps only they themselves know. It never struck me on the way out just how high this wall is. Oh well. At least I can go home alive now. That means I'm pretty lucky. That man in the Scar Market. That was General Tiresias. The first of the city's founders. The hero of that legendary campaign. If I had the courage to ask him to take me in, maybe I could have just... I'm dreaming again. He sits atop the high wall, experiencing, for the first time, a new lease on life. Few of Khaz'del's citizen Sarkaz save for those children who haven't yet cottoned onto the fear of death, ever climb onto the city wall. If the tremendous pipes and tubes piled high can ever be called a wall, the intricately tangled forest of Reginum spikes can take the lives of anyone who loses their footing. But it also serves as a haven for pilferers and mercenaries to stash their goods. Smugglers and vagrants cross through the dark underground, peeking out from the tunnels and drains at mines and factories, scuttling from one corner of the city to another. The life the slave once knew. The general gave me a fresh start. So what should I do from now on? He gazes at the furnace, burning and smoldering far away, teeming with indiscernible workers as they carry reginum, steel, dirt, and stones into its hearth. The Kazdel, the nomad. Its flame brings motion, while the molten metal that flows out adds new appendage to the city. For a whole century, it's belched its incessant black smoke. None know whether it's ash or reginum dust. Some say it's the bitter anger and anguish as the revenants exhale their last breaths. Witchcraft altars hang high in the sky, intermittently flashing their blinding rays. The slave has heard many different versions of the urban legend. The most frightening version claims that the royal court's casters work day and night on the altars, watching everything and listening to every conversation in the city. Maybe I can try my luck at the factories too. It doesn't matter what else. I've made it back alive. It's been months since I left. I don't know how many of my friends are still alive. The nomadic city of Kazdel. Kazdel. Sarkos swearing. What happened here? Why are the doors open and furniture all smashed? Pooltop, you're back. It's you. What are you doing here? Where'd you get that ornament? Something big is happening. Royal court nobles are being dragged out of their houses and killed by mercenaries appearing from nowhere. All the city guards do nothing. A lot of us have been sneaking into empty houses, and boy, have we dredged up some good stuff. How are you still alive, Toe? Word got out you wanted to leave the city and find your own way, and after so long, we all assumed you died out there. You won't believe my luck. First, I was left to die without food or water. Then I was taken to the Scar Market. But guess what? General Teresa saved my life. The general himself. Then, on the way home, I ran into this guy with a halo over his head, calling himself a messenger. He brought me all the way back to the city wall. So, I've decided to change my name to Good Luck starting today. You guys can forget that lousy old name of mine. A guy with a halo? A Sancta? And a general? You sure learned how to lie, Good Luck. Believe me or not. But either way, today's a fresh start for me. I'm gonna go be a miner. I looted a Nazar's house earlier and found some hot air balloons. Want to launch me one on and put that luck of yours to good use? I'm in. Well, that was fast. Man, feels good to be home. Good Luck glances around at the people swarming the streets. This is the life he knows. If he wants to survive, the city will always offer him a way. Thank you, Fate. And thank you, General. Can you believe that was just the pre-stage story? We still got a lot more to go. Arknights lore be like. Autumn 1031. The nomadic city of Kazdel. Hey, let me through already. Hey, no shoving. You want a good spot? I'll trade you mine for some high purity originum out of the mines. Don't just grab the leaflet out of my hands. Ugh, all that blood all over you stinks. Can't help it when you're breaking into dead people's houses. Lingonus. That's how you read that word, right? Where's Lingonus? Gaul. Oh. Where's Gaul? How the fuck should I know where Gaul is? Hey, what's with the attitude? Shh. The Highnesses and the Royal Court big shots are discussing something in the chamber. I heard it's about reorganizing the city. Haven't you noticed all the extra guards on the street recently? So quiet down a bit. Weather's been real stuffy today. It is decided. The military commission will replace the war council in assisting the King of Sarkos, Teresa, in decision-making related to Kazdel's military and political affairs. The military commission will be the sole administration of Kazdel, and none will have the authority to issue commands to the Sarkos in the royal court's name. All present have already received the details of this resolution. To the royal court leaders who still wish to cling on to the war council, know that the military commission of Kazdel will become the final bastion of the Sarkos, a eternal fortress, an usher of a new order. Are there any further questions? Your Highness appears more haggard than you did yesterday. Please look after your health. No military commission is worth it. If it comes at the cost of your Highness's health. Oh, how to... Lacrymaline? Lacrymaline. Thank you. I know how hard you've worked for this day. And I also know how Kazdel today views the banshees of the Convalis. But before I state our position, I encountered a lost envoy of the Liches on my journey here. He entrusted me with a letter for your Highness. That he couldn't even find the road here. Let this be proof of the immense changes Kazdel has undergone. A letter from Lithanian? If things are going as expected, your Highness's messenger should still not have received any news from the Cyclops. Rather than waiting for the response from deep in the blizzard, should we not hear how the Liches of Lithanian answer? You're right, it has been a very long time since Sarkos were able to truly unite. Oh? The ornate calligraphy upon the letter turns into silken threads that float above the paper and weave into the shape of a familiar figure. Fremont, a lich. Fremont, a lich who has long resided in Lithanian. It appears that he is now the first scribe for the Liches. It seems that the arts practiced by the Liches of Lithanian have seen some stylistic changes. Oh. He appears rather excited. Why is there only image but no sound? Well, the Lich Envoy did suggest to me that he was rather vexed with refining his master's words. But never did I imagine that he would simply erase all the sound. In short, Fremont apologizes on behalf of the Liches. They are enthralled as ever by their quest for knowledge, and are therefore unable to afford the distraction of making the long journey here. But if Khazda were ever in need of their knowledge, they would happily throw wide the gates to the temple for the people that they have chosen. I am sure that with your abilities, your highness can understand Fremont's attitude on the matter from his image alone. To me, it appears as though he is sensitive to drastic change, as has always been his wont. Ah yes, there is another letter from Fremont, one addressed directly to the general. Might I remind you, like a Malene, that you are nobody's messenger. You have not yet expressed where the Banshee Court stands. I assumed that we had reached an understanding in the course of our reminiscing yesterday. The Banshees will not participate. We are still recovering from the wounds inflicted by the past war. Perhaps other Sarkars will castigate us for this, but all present should know that since the war, the elegies have yet to cease in our valley. We have suffered grievous losses. If Khazda calls on the aid of the Banshees once more, then I will give the same promise as Fremont. The Banshees will be there. But until that day, you will find us willing, but unable. Naturally, I myself will render what little assistance I am able to give from this day onwards. That's more than we can ask for. Thank you, Lacquer Malene. You are welcome, Your Highness. You know where I stand. For the past 100 years, I have always stood by the decisions you have made. I can only hope that your brother does not blame us for watching from the sidelines. Next, Lord Nesalem, the Naxar King. You were once the leader of the War Council and the mentor of Theresis and I. What is your opinion on these many proposals? Where do the other council members that you represent stand on the matter? Have you discussed them with the Damatzi cluster? They have long since taken root in Khazda, under many different names and faces. We have had many conversations over the years. They have no objections. Then I have no objections of my own. Your Highness need not worry about the bureaucratic hurdles, policy imperfections, or enforcement mechanisms. Where I stand is also where the other members of the council stand. We all know that we truly long for a turnabout, a change, a banner. Go, do as you will. We will, Naxar King. I promise you that. I trust that this stagnant and dulled war can take on a new form in your hands. I notice you have not said a word this entire meeting. Sanguinarch of vampires? To take the War Council and the century of history behind it, and sweep it into the gutter alongside the exalted heroic age and what little triumphs was in? Is that the general's decision? It is our decision. Speak your mind, Dukarel. Dukarel lowers his gaze. Theresa's white skirt is molted with many a blackened bloodstain. The Sanguinarch is highly attuned to such matters. He senses the blood of the lowly, the foul stench of fallen descendants, and the murky taint of royal court members who willingly debase themselves. I thank your highness for purifying the filthy blood that I abhor in my stead. But never have I needed to hide my request behind honeyed words, such as it has been for every king of the past. And so it will be for you. The military commission is merely an attempt to hide Sarkar's witchcraft and blood behind a more modern, more efficient name. Truth be told, I feel like this is insignificant. More than insignificant. It is simply not necessary. You reject the proposal? On behalf of the Vampire Court? Ducarel glances at Teresis, but Teresis remains indifferent to him. Time has left almost no trace of the mixed-blood Sarkars. He stands steadfast by Teresa's side, the same nameless warrior who stood by the seamstress a century ago. His eyes never fall on the vampire. Not a rejection, no. I'm merely expressing some minor frustrations about this meeting. You are great and powerful. All of you are. How long has it been since so many members of the royal court have gathered here in Khasdel? Not to mention that it was you who defeated that foolish coalition in the prior age and wrestled the future into your own hands before personally establishing the War Council. And now you wish to personally change this council. Why? Look about you, at the other dignitaries in this chamber. You have long since reached a consensus. The only obstacle to your military commission is myself and the vampires. You would foist some ridiculous title upon me before forcing all vampires to bow down to your commission? When did you learn this political trickery that those Victorians and Lithanians so love? Why not just take my head here and now and slaughter vampires within the city walls? This meeting was not just convened to persecute anyone. Was it not? It was convened to discuss how to bring Khasdel into a new age. A new age. In that so-called Age of the Six Heroes the songs love to praise, what I saw was bloodthirst and violence. I had thought that when I arrived in Khasdel I would be greeted with the sound of Lisa's wailings. But what did I see instead? I saw the coalition routed. Witchcraft, enough to cover the land and fill the skies, crushed the enemy front. The power of Sarkar shook the earth. I felt amazement. I felt excitement. Spurred by my passion, I took the head of the Lithanian envoy who had orchestrated the coalition and offered it to the War Council. Nesalem. That war was the true beginning of a new age. I thought you would agree with me. Have you too succumbed to schemes and politics and shut your ears to the echoes of the abyss? The abyss has no place for you, Ducarel. Do not drag me into your tantrum. My apologies. But I am curious. What position did they offer the esteemed Sarkar's Master of War in the military commission that has rendered even you so short-sighted? All I await is the next war. And what war would that be? If it pleases you, Your Highness. Come, Ducarel. I will show you. Teresa nods her head in silent approval. The King of Sarkar's emotions enveloped the entire chamber, and all the members of the royal court. Through the king's eyes, they see ruination and grief. They see the century-old order that the Gaulish Empire so painstakingly maintained within the core region obliterated by combined forces of Ursus. Oh, too fast. Victorian Lithanian. They see Lingones, the capital of the world, doomed to never again appear on the map of Terra. Those present recalled a campaign that reduced Khaz'del to dust. But it is not yet over. An even further future. An even further fantasy. An even further possibility. That green, is that Kelsey? It is no longer a story to reflect upon. Rather, it is a speculation, a deduction, a prediction, and a verdict. But none question it, for all possibilities must be treated equally, even for the one they see. And its ending is equally significant and indisputable as any other. It is a change, a turning point in history, a divergence of fate. A crucial war looms on the horizon. It will span from now into the distant future, impacting every Sarkaz in all of Terra. All present have seen their positions in that war, the roles that they wish to play. You should understand now, vampire. You should understand what these visions mean. Or perhaps you have begun to grow weak and feeble as, at least in the short span of 100 years. You were once a warrior. I cannot deny that. But are you saying that a new and reborn Khaz'del requires the royal court to relinquish its former authority? Close, but not quite. The new Khaz'del will no longer require the royal court's former authority. It will be more modern, more efficient, Dukarel. How can the Sarkaz speak of unity while you continue to indulge in your noble bloodlines? Will it come from the rule of the royal court? You may still rule over your own court and maintain the power and prestige you hold among the Sarkaz, but the vampire court must yield to the military commission. I promise you this, in Teresa's name. When the age that you witness comes, Khaz'del will no longer be a single dot upon the map. It was once more than just a city, and so it shall be more again. It seems I have spoken out of turn. Please continue, Your Highness Teresa. The aftermath of the ongoing conflict, enough to reshape current power dynamics, will engulf us all. It may come in 50 years, in 10, or perhaps even tomorrow. Khaz'del cannot escape it. The Damatzi and I both saw the visions of the campaign that will destroy Lingones. High efficiency command systems made possible by Originum Arts. High-speed battleships that can break through front lines. Maneuver tactics that can mobilize entire legions. New advancements are applied to the battlefield as we speak. Their capacity for destruction is surpassing our innate instinct rooted in our bloodlines. What worries me more is the fact that we still find fellow Sarkaz among the countless casualties of war. Gaul employed royal court casters, and the Liches and Lithanian are killing each other in battle, while a certain Wendigo is spilling the blood of his fellow Sarkaz to prove his loyalty to the Ursine Tsar. As for the Sarkaz mercenaries sent to the front lines as Art's fodder, they won't even be counted in any nation's casualty statistics. The Sarkaz massacre one another in wars we have no stake in, regarded as disposable goods to be abandoned without care by the leaders of those wars. For the sake of keeping pace with these changes, the Sarkaz must once again gather around the furnace, and if necessary, the power to dominate the war must lie in our hands. Teresa's looks at Teresa, waiting for her opinion, but Teresa does not speak, her eyes placid as before. We will plunder other nations, and wrest their most profound secrets from them. We were once the proud Tikas, forced to become the Sarkars and derided as devils. Because the Outlanders feared us. It is an ancient fear, rooted deep in their hearts. Let us remind them. Let us show all of Terra, our history and legend that have been either forgotten or falsified. The Sarkars are not weak. We do not need others to save us from our fate. On the contrary, we will dictate the fate of Terra. Dictate how this land should move forward. The details of our plan have been delivered to all present. Through the runic arts of the Banshees. To Karel. Do you still hold doubt? No. Excellent work. Oh, exceptional work, Teresis. Set aside a seat on the military commission for the Crimson Court. It appears that our Noxahar king has not yet grown out of his age. But as to whether or not he could usher in such a grand feast, warriors need not die in a blaze of glory. That is a vulgarity only chased by those who seek fame. Oh, I nearly forgot you were still here, Lacra Maline. I have made myself abundantly clear from the start, Prince Tukarel. I need only silently observe your enthusiastic attempt at self-expression. How pitiful it is to look upon this shabby little court. I will cherish your elegies. Then this I promise you, when death comes for you, the Lord of the Banshees will sing you an elegy, delivered to you by the night wind. Set aside your chatter for another time. It seems their highness still have matters to discuss. The other members of the War Council will wish to know their decisions to Karel, Lacquer Malane, and you, Damatsi disguised outside the door, with me. The Noxahar king nods his head towards Teresa. The other two members of the royal court do not bid the king farewell. They simply followed the Noxahar king out of the chamber. After the meeting's end, Teresa stays by Teresa's side, standing silently. He knows that she'll be expecting an answer from him. You never mentioned that you would announce the plans for the war to the royal court. You did not refute me either. Would I have been able to refute anything? You are well aware of what I think. If you wanted to argue against any of it, you would have done so a few years ago. For now, I have them by the reins, but it's not just them. This entire city hungers for war. I will prevent matters from heading down the worst possible path, lest the prospects of Terra's continued existence become infinitesimally small. You must be quick about it. I will. What does Framont's letter say? As Teresis opens the envelope, the writing vanishes before his eyes. Yet the message has already etched itself indelibly into his mind. He has surmised what would transpire during that meeting rather accurately. He has given his opinion on some matters, alongside a reminder. Do not place all your coming hopes in one basket. The nomadic city of Kazdel. Kazdel? You with that Babel? Pah, don't count on a military commission to look after you all. We're here to help you. Help us? My parents died at the hands of you Lithanians. You got some nerve. What? Not scared of me? We knew what to expect when we came here. Just needs some getting used to. Besides, our captain warned us not to agitate the Nocals. You looking down on me? Eh? The hell is this? Let me go. Welcoming wave. Ah yes, monster. Do not harm him, but do make him leave. Dr. Kal'tsit? I said not to deviate from our planned route, even if it is to treat the wounded along the way. Sorry, Dr. Kal'tsit. No matter. You handled it well. We've reached our destination. Welcome to Babel. Babel office, Kosdell. Did you manage to retrieve all our stray colleagues? Yes, all's well with them. The construction of Babel's facilities is proceeding smoothly. The school that you were so looking forward to is already complete. Yet, I heard that the unbeatable Dr. Kal'tsit had not too long ago been turned down, perhaps even kicked out. I did not foresee such a direct refusal. I'm not surprised at all, to be honest. Too many Sarkars. The invitation of the king is barely worth the paper it's printed on. On the other hand, our connections with Sargon and Rimbiliton have delivered good news. As for Columbia, some scientists have proposed a technology exchange program. They have their eyes on the ancient Sarkar's witchcraft, while we have a need for their latest mobile farms. It took us a century's effort to share an equal dialogue with these powers. The results speak for themselves. You're creating new history, Teresa. Thank you, Kal'tsit. But I can tell you've had a lot on your mind recently. The military commission has been formally established. Babel's existence will spark yet another near irreconcilable conflict in Kosdell. Our staff come from different races and nations. How could they live alongside the Sarkars? If your efforts to soothe enmity and prejudice instead becomes a fuse to spark conflict anew, what does your highness plan to do? If we cannot even eliminate prejudice and hatred within the walls of Kosdell, how can Babel hope to achieve equality for the Sarkars throughout all of Terra? They will be members of the military commission posted to Babel soon. They will ensure the safety of our people. This will also serve as a warning to some. Babel is backed by both Teresa's and me. Oh, right. Did I ever tell you how I met a Sancta messenger? Kal'tsit. Strange, the Sancta do not generally dare to approach the borders of Kosdell. Was this why your highness disappeared this afternoon? Was it that obvious? I thought Lacquer Malene had me covered. The Lord of the Banshees clearly tried, but judging from the results, she isn't the best pick for clerical work. Well, what of that Sarkar's messenger? He was getting water from the river, and we struck up a conversation. We chatted about many things: history, peace, hatred. Our viewpoints did not align on most things, but I could sense in him wisdom, an intelligence beyond his years. He had thoughts concealed within his heart, ones even he did not know of. And so, you used the power of the King of Sarkars on a Sancta? I simply wish to know what this fated encounter meant. And what did it mean? It's still hard to say, but while I was looking at his soul, I felt that perhaps we are not so alone, Kal'tsit. Many on this land are doing all they can to pursue hope. Hopes big and small. Hopes bright and beautiful. Ugh. That hurts. Are these people nuts or something? I just wanted to get a few nice things for myself. Never even heard of any Babel. He steadies himself against the wall, gasping for air as his vision begins to blur. Fatigue floods his limbs, weighing him down. Through his blurred vision, he sees another in front of him fall to the crazed attacker's blades. He knows he will be next. I refuse to die here. It's you or me, bastards! Out of the way! He used the last of his strengths to barrel his way out, but the only resistance he meets is solid ground. All he sees is black. Are you alright? Were you trying to save me just now? There's so much blood. Why does it feel like I'm the one saving you? Hold on, I'll bring you to Babel. Our doctors can treat you there. I'm still alive? Who would have thought that those lunatics would just decide to attack innocent bystanders in broad daylight to get at Babel? I don't know how the others are faring. Hey! Stay with me! I still don't know your name. I'm... Good... Luck. Huh? For the first time, he regrets giving himself this name. Name is a little cringe, let's be real. Hey guys, my name Good Luck. Well, that was a read. My god. I had to re-record like 5 stages, and this is the first re-record. So I'm a little worn out, I'm not gonna lie. Hope y'all enjoy the lore readings.